Welcome back to Balderdash Academy. We have visiting professor, comic, producer, podcaster Nick Gordon tonight. And we have 4 questions in the answer to give me the details, which is what piece of New England washed up on a Norway beach. But first...
Balderdash Academy, competitive comedy. Good for your health like a yearly colonoscopy. Bring a flask, don't forget your hall pass. If you need a laugh, let me introduce the school staff. Marie Stewart Harmon teaches home economics. See her after class for some home brewed tonics. Sex with me is like Nate Green, cause finishing on top is his normal routine. Coach Steve brings the show sports knowledge, but he's bad at portmanteaus cause he didn't go to college. Molly McGill spits words like an Uzi. She wins every game but can't name a single movie. They call him Brady Hunt, the theater guru. He'll always almost win like deja vu. Carla Rose Dubois, you better watch your back. She's notoriously known for teaching music facts. And Bob LeBlanc gets no disrespect. Don't talk back, cause he's technically correct. Yes, let's go. Balderdash Academy, baby. Alright, sit down, class is starting.
Balderdash Academy.
Welcome back to Balderdash Academy. In the lead, we have Steve Corning with 100 points, but it's still anyone's game. Before we move on to our next game, I'm going to spin an opening icebreaker question from the Balderdash Randomizer. Now, these questions were written by our intern, Alan, so you can blame him. The Balderdash Randomizer will generate a question that Nick will try to answer in 30 seconds or less. Our first question. Question number 4. What stand-up comics should we be following?
Wow. Let's see here. Casey Crawford from Boston is one of my favorite comedians. He's worked with us several times. He's up and coming. He's been on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Very cool. I think he's somebody that you should definitely follow for local acts. Jay Hunter out of Detroit. He's somebody who comes out here and hangs with us and does shows. Also a very good up and coming comedian. And then as far as professional people, I think we all know the regular names, but, not Louis C.K., by the way. We're not following him anymore, regardless of anything. I don't know. Can we swear on this?
Yeah.
We can now. You cracked it open.
If we can't, then I'm in trouble.
I saw that Nate Bargatze's coming to Hampton Beach Casino at the end of August. That's
Very
something
cool.
I want to see. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Let's make a field trip.
I think
All good. Yeah, I'm up for it. Yeah.
A field trip
All right,
would
so-
fit the theme of this show.
Our first game tonight is 4 questions, and in honor of our visiting professor and the fact that I love my black and gold, tonight's 4 questions will be about hockey.
Hockey, right. Great.
So, whichever one of our faculty members will give the best, not necessarily the correct, but the best answer, Nick will award points. Our first question about hockey. In 1967, a new hockey team featured a live mascot from the Galapagos Islands. What was the mascot and why did it fit the team? Nate, what was the Galapagos Island mascot and what team did it fit?
Yes, it was a giant tortoise that they when they go into their shells, they just look like a hockey puck. So that's why it fit the theme. That's kind of a no-brainer. But they wanted to bring it into more mainstream culture. So they put a red bandana around its head and a couple of sais on its back, and some pizza. They put pizza at the end of the rink so it would walk out to it, and it was the you know where I'm going with that.
Wait, no, finish it for us.
No, I'm gonna cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger? All right, so it was hockey on the half shell is what you're saying.
Exactly,
All right.
yes, yeah.
Okay, Carla Rose, what was the mascot and what was the team?
Well, as we all know, the Galapagos is the hotbed of evolution. There were some iguanas there that had developed a special evolutionary adaptation where they developed boots to protect their feet from ice. So they brought a couple of them to the rink, and they made these really cute shirts. Iguana play hockey. It was just these little green guys. They fed them like moss, and they were just so happy. Very short lifespans, but hopefully that's an adaptation that will continue. But,
they're Canadian iguanas, right? Because they want to tell you a boot something. That's cool. All right, Steve.
So the Galapagos Islands, a lot of interesting creatures, of course, a lot of death as well, and it's one of the most haunted places on Earth. And their evolution has created some weird, spooky monsters, such as a banshee. I don't know if you guys knew this. Banshees are real. They exist on the Galapagos Islands. And this wealthy investor was also part owner of a brand new team in Connecticut. He went, captured this banshee, and had her do the halftime shows for the Hartford Whalers.
Okay. All right, whaling banshees. Molly.
Oh, wow. That was just really entertaining. I forgot to think.
That's the hard part.
People think that it's like a living, it is a living thing, but it's not quite what you think. It's actually just a potted papaya plant. They thought that they really wanted to embrace the tropical essence of the said Galapagos Islands. And so they brought in Poppy the papaya. And so really easy, have them in its own little hockey puck shaped pot, and they easily can slide them on the ice, put some little sunglasses on them, and just little spritz here and there of little halftime beer. Happy go lucky. And you know how soccer moms bring like sliced oranges, halftime, right? Yeah, papaya.
All right, 1967 exotic fruit makes sense. So, all right, here goes. What live mascot from the Galapagos Islands was used in a 1967 hockey team? We have Nate with the giant tortoise with hockey on the half shell. We have Carla Rose with iguana with ice boots. We have Steve with the banshee for the whalers. And we have Molly with the potted papaya plant Poppy. Should give you extra points for alliteration. So, Nick, how would you like to score?
Well, I'm wondering now, can I score everyone some point? And then win?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, anyone for any reason.
So I think they're all pretty good. So each one gets 50 points.
Ooh, all right.
Because we got to get the scores a little closer after that first round. And then I think Carla Rose, because I liked when she said iguana, the iguana play hockey. That was pretty funny. So an extra 25 points there for that little catchphrase.
All right. Okay, so in 1967, a new hockey team featured a live mascot from the Galapagos Islands. It was, of course, the Galapagos Penguin for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They had plans to teach the penguin how to ice skate, and of course, being a penguin, it got pneumonia and died.
Oh my
This
God.
is tragic. I don't like any
It
of
is.
this
That's
story.
more morbid than eating the papaya that's also the mascot.
And it smells like feet.
Now, our next question. For a game played indoors, it is rare for weather-related cancellations to happen in hockey, but it does happen. What was the most unexpected reason for a weather cancellation, Carla Rose?
Well, like you said, it is rare, but occasionally in Canada, they fall victim to a dust storm called a haboob. And they creep from the Dust Bowl up across the border. And what they found is that the Zambonis, with their little swirly brooms, are actually quite effective in fighting habzoobs. And so they did have to cancel because the Great Haboob of 1972 was just too much for the Zamboni fleet, as brave as those men were in fighting it.
So the Great Haboobs were too big for the Zambonis.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Steve, what do you have?
This obviously happened in Canada because, what happens in Canada? It's always crazy stories. In Toronto, sometimes the wind whips off the Great Lakes just right.
Okay.
And those maple leaves, man, they go zinging. And one fateful night, there was a storm of dagger-like maple leaves that assaulted the arena where the Maple Leafs play, and all the players and fans were covered in lacerations even before the fighting started.
So weather-related Canadian ninjas?
Yeah.
It's
nature. It's nature's ninjas.
Molly, what do you
I
have?
don't make this stuff up. I just report it.
Much like a weather reporter. So this actually happened when one of the first raptures was predicted. And as we all know, with a rapture comes the frogs, right? They just come down from the heavens and to infiltrate everything we can do. And actually, so the report was that the rapture was coming, the frogs were going to be aplenty, and people just didn't want to deal. So everybody's like, we're going to stay home, park their cars, and that's why it was canceled.
All right, Plague of Frogs, which is a delicacy in Quebec. Nate, what do you have?
So this happened. Now I'm always telling my kids, I'm like, when you leave a room, shut the door, shut the light off. Make sure you're cleaning up after yourself. Now, they're kids. You try to teach them. Apparently, nobody did this with Stephen Strange because he opened a portal from the Sahara into Quebec, and he just left it open. Like he was going for some poutine. He had a conference in Egypt, and northern Sahara, and he wanted some poutine. Got a craving. He opened up a portal, went in, left it open for 3 weeks. Not only did the dirt come in and all that stuff, but the heat. And I mean, Canada isn't good. That is not good for that type of heat. It's dry heat and it's not that humid, but I mean, the hockey rinks just melted. It was a mess.
All right. Okay. So desert heat for poutine, which sounds like a weird porn for some reason.
We're an 80s song.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Let's write
Desert
that.
heat for poutine from Duran Duran. All right. So
With the Habib.
I'm hungry for
coming.
poutine.
what was the reason? What weather event canceled a hockey game in an indoor stadium? We have Carla Rose with the Great Haboob, which was too big for the Zambonis. We have Steve with weather-related Canadian ninjas, Molly with a plague of frogs, and Nate, desert heat for poutine. All right, Nick, how would you like to score?
Now, again, everyone's just really brought their A game on that one.
Truly.
A.
Obviously.
Yeah,
No, all right. So then,
I hear what you're talking about.
yeah, thanks. Okay. So at least 25 points per everyone there for that, and then to Nate, probably another 25 to Nate because I think Canadians would really appreciate a portal to a warmer climate, especially this. True.
Oh yeah, airlines hate it.
Yeah,
they
but,
just lose out
Airlines
money
hate
on
this
that.
one simple trick.
But yeah,
It's just they deserve better.
It's true.
All right, so
They hate
what was the reason for the weather cancellation? Well, in 1995, a game between the San Jose Sharks and the Detroit Red Wings was canceled on account of rain. It rained so hard that the river beside the arena flooded and they had water on the ice.
Wow.
Wow.
So imagine being so unlucky your hockey game got rained out.
Flooded.
All right,
Everything
so in
happens for a reason,
2015, an outdoor stadium game between the LA Kings and the San Jose Sharks almost had to be called. Now, though the temperature was perfect for ice hockey, why was the game almost canceled? An outdoor stadium game in 2015 between the LA Kings and the San Jose Sharks almost had to be called, even though the temperature was fine. What reason was it almost canceled, Steve?
So this,
You're the coach, you know this.
Yeah, obviously. This famously took place at Fenway Park. Wait, sorry, that's... Sure, I've said it, so that's what I meant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why it was so
what I meant.
famous. I mean, come on, the Kings and the Sharks and Fenway, it was epic.
Yeah, legendary. And so what could have happened that would... Oh, you know what? Let me
Canceled because it's not an ice arena? Because they can't play on grass. It turned
I
into,
went to the wrong city entirely.
it turned into
and,
field hockey.
I have nowhere to go with this. My train of thought. So let's figure out where we're going with this. So this famously happened, Fenway Park, Boston, Massachusetts, home of the Red Sox. For some reason, outdoors. Yeah, of course. You know, so people in the stands, ice arena, and it got canceled because so many Red Sox fans showed up to picket it because they were like, you can't play hockey on this legendary baseball field. We refuse. And so there was such a mass outrage that anyone who would dare slap a puck with sticks inside Fenway Park, they had to cancel the game. Famously.
All right, so famously had to cancel their game at Fenway Park because
only
of...
hit balls with sticks, not pucks.
Only hit balls with sticks, except for the one time that the Bruins did it, but it was a local team, so they allowed it.
Exactly, that's true.
I like that train of thought, Steve. Molly,
Really is strong.
why did they almost have to cancel the game?
Well, as any sports fan knows, the Kings and the Sharks have a very, very loyal following. And when the game came together, I have to demonstrate it. It goes a little bit like this. Kings,
I don't know where this is going.
Sharks, Kings,
Oh, yeah,
Sharks. And switchblades came out. Leather jacket collars were popped. I know. Calm down. And jeans rolled up, exposed white socks. It was absolute mayhem.
Wow.
That they had to call it off.
All right, so a West Coast story. All right. Nate, what do you have?
Nice, Bob.
So having to spin my story on a dime, because I wasn't going to go with the Sharks or Jets or anything. I wasn't going to do that. That's just too obvious. Steve was right, though. It did happen in Boston. Now, what happened was, I don't know if you're aware, but Boston had this flood of molasses.
The dirty water.
And exactly. You can still smell it to this day.
I love
now, they went to play there, and the ice, they weren't kind of like when you go to play football or baseball or anything in the Rockies. You have to acclimate to the air pressure. Well, when you go to Boston to play sports, you have to acclimate to the molasses. And their hockey skates weren't up to par. So they kept getting stuck, and nobody actually crossed the center line. So they ended up just having like a water balloon fight. And the Sharks won. I think it's because they were good with water.
All right, so the players could not be acclimated to the molasses, which, by the way, that's real. The molasses flood happened right next door in the North End, right next to the garden. Carla Rose.
Look, this is a really good example about how urban legends are started. there's a little bit of truth to what everybody said. This was in Boston. There was a fierce rivalry between the Kings and the Sharks. And, the remnants of treacle did remain there. And what happened was the largest puck-making factory in the world, the duck puck. This is before they made the tape. So this is the duck puck factory. And what happened was both the Sharks and the Kings, unbeknownst to each other, Uber fans, went at night and dumped treacle into the production lines of the pucks. So there were no pucks to be found. They sabotaged the puck factory. So it was due to a puck shortage from the sticky treacle, the team rivalry in Boston that caused it to be canceled.
I'll get the puck out of here.
Treacle. Molly, did you have an amendment for yours?
I just wanted to mention that it must have been molasses in the flannel shirt that Hans found
Oh my!
in Norway.
Guys, our
Very
our
similar.
improv training is kicking in. We're just yes and we can't help ourselves. Yes, and it was in Boston, wasn't it?
Minute.
All right, so
Just wanted to point that out.
that was
Nice.
perfect. I mean, that makes perfect sense. The logic is flawless. In 2015, an outdoor stadium game between the LA Kings and the San Jose Sharks almost had to be canceled. Was it because it was in Fenway Park and so many Red Sox fans showed up to ticket puck slapping? You know, it's a Puritan state. Puck slapping should be illegal in Massachusetts. Was it Molly, the Kings versus the Sharks, and a West Coast story? Was it Nate's molasses in the North End led to a lack of acclamation from the players? They ended up playing with water balloons, which is basically what Steve said the picket was caused by. Or was it Carla Rose's, the duck puck factory? They both put molasses in the pucks, which caused a puck shortage. Nick, how would you like to score?
Good luck, Nick.
This is a tough one. Maybe I know a little too much about hockey, so it's unfair. But
Probably.
the
Yeah.
fact that the Kings and the Sharks are
We're
a
right
West,
on the money.
yeah, you're so close. The fact that it was a West Coast game, I have to give points to Molly McGill in the range of 50. And then, but also, because they are trying so hard, and I do like those Boston stories and such. I got to give another, 25 to the other three: Carla Rose, Nate, and Steve.
The red team.
Generous, thank you.
Yeah, they're working really hard.
Pity points. Thank you.
All
I don't know
right.
if you guys have seen the movie Youngblood. But Miss McGill is a character in Youngblood. It's a hockey movie from the 80s with Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze. Check it out.
Wow.
You didn't tell us, Molly.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
very
I
good
don't know if it was.
I was thinking of the song from Gem and the Holograms movie, but yep. You'll get it later when we do.
Yeah.
The other
That's a movie
game.
that you thought of, Molly. Save that for later.
Yeah, save it.
In 2015, what game was almost what almost canceled the game? Well, it was an outdoor game. The
Winter
weather
Classic.
was perfect for ice hockey. The problem was they had nothing to freeze. Due to a severe drought, they could not find the water to actually create the ice rink. They had to ship in 20,000 tons of water. It's about 5 million gallons to make the ice.
Wow.
Just enough for a small city to.
To drink
hydrated.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little straws.
And there wasn't enough Gatorade, huh? They didn't.
Why didn't they just use molasses? I don't get it.
I mean, come on. Because they held it out west and not in Boston.
oh yeah,
the
they
real
couldn't
problem.
I
ship
mean,
it.
yeah, right. Okay. Rubber pucks are the norm for ice hockey. How are they treated to prevent them from bouncing across the ice, Molly?
They are treated with a delicate hand. They are coddled and raised, very protected. They are treated very lovingly. They have little bonnets put on them right after they come out of the duck factory. They are then tucked in every night into a little bassinet where they are then sung a lullaby. Usually the teams whose puck it will be played for, the team's anthem or chant which can either one way or the other. And then they only pick out the most refined of pucks
Free range.
for the game.
Okay. All right. So with a delicate hand and a gentle touch, Nate. How are the rubber pucks treated?
How are the rubber pucks treated?
So that they don't bounce across the ice.
They are treated with the old adage, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. And they take that with sincerity, because they don't want those suckers to bounce around. That's what the people are for. I've watched hockey. I've seen people bouncing all over the place. That's the only reason I watch it. So that's inscribed, kind of like Thor's hammer. I'm going really Marvel today. Thor's hammer is inscribed with, thing, like if you're Thor, you get the powers or whatever. It's the same thing, except I'm rubber, you're glue is inscribed on the hockey puck, and then Odin blows on it, and so you can't see it. Unless you hold it up to the fire like the ring from Mordor. So that's how they're treated.
That was my favorite part of Thor, is when he picked up and read the hammer. If you do this, you get magic. All right, so Carla Rose?
Yeah.
What? How do they treat the pucks so they don't bounce?
Well, first of all, apropos of nothing, I would like to give myself a shout out. You can see me in downtown Portland. My stage name is Rubber Pucks. And I'm performing this weekend.
Wow.
You like what
Congrats.
you see? Come see me.
I will.
Anywho, in all seriousness, this is a charity that is very close to my heart. Pucks are treated very poorly, actually.
Oh, no.
They're treated lower than dirt. They're treated worse than the way Will Smith treated Chris Rock.
That's topical.
Very, very insulting and just very rude and just not called for. And they have to put up with that like all day, every day. And my charity is called Free the Pucks. And it calls for better treatments of the pucks, to get the carcinogenic materials out of them, because that's lowering their lifespans. And get there's a bamboo forest, and that regenerates. And I'm advocating for more bamboo pucks. Problem is that they're really light and they just fly out of the stadium. And so we have some insurance things to figure out. But I think meanwhile, I'm going to start a GoFundMe page. So look for that for Help the Pucks. And look for me in Portland this weekend.
And for only pennies a day, you too can help out a puck in need.
I have Sally Struthers signed on. Yeah. She's actually
I wish
really nice
we
commercial.
had the budget to license Sarah McLachlan. All right, so Steve.
Have I not gone yet? Oh, okay. There's so much going on there. Okay.
Come on, Coach. How do they treat the pucks?
Like Siridi said, they're not treated well, but it's for a totally different reason. There's actually only one way to treat a rubber puck to make it slide across ice, and that is to submerge it in flame. And there's only one place you can do that, of course, and those are the fires of Mount Doom. Luckily, there was a small man named Frodo who volunteered to bring every NHL used puck to the fires of Mount Doom, and he had a small party, about 8 or 9 people came along with him. There's this guy with a beard. He was like, "You have my stick," and there's a guy, a tall, beautiful man, probably from Iceland. He was like, "You have my skates," and then a really short, hairy man. He was like, "And you have my mask." And they just form this party, and once a day, they have to travel to the fires of Mount Doom to submerge each puck individually, and obviously bring the ring of rubber to Mount Doom in order to make them game worthy.
Isn't that the movie Old School?
Oh, you got me, Nate.
Oh.
I knew Molly wasn't going to get that, but that's crazy that
All
you
right.
got
Come on, Jim.
So, according to Steve, you bring your rubber stick ring to the fires of Mount Doom. So we have How do they treat the hockey pucks so they don't bounce? We have Molly with a delicate hand and a gentle touch. Nate with an adage, I'm rubber and you're glue, with a magic inscription. Carla Rose, free the pucks. And Steve, submerge it in flame. Nick, how would you like to score?
Since Steve actually described how to make cock rings, I think we're going to subtract 20 points from him.
Oh no.
And
Oh,
give
but you
everyone
gotta
else
take that cock ring to Mordor, man.
35 points apiece for the other three. I'm sorry.
That's good. That's good. Let's make this interesting.
All right.
And what about Dildo Baggins? I mean, what do I have to do to get those 25 back?
Demonstrate. So you have, how is the rubber treated to prevent it from bouncing across the ice? Well, rubber doesn't bounce when it's frozen. So they just keep the pucks in the freezer.
With the
All
papaya.
right.
Wow.
All right. So, Nick, you were telling us about the Comedy Think Tank podcast. What inspired you to create it?
We were sitting around during the pandemic, Leonard and I, and we had nothing much to do. And we realized we would be on Zoom together and we would be making each other laugh. And I said, you know what? Who knows how long this thing's going to last? We should get someone else on Zoom and record what we're doing and just talk about comedy, try to make each other laugh and that sort of thing. And then we came up with the name, which a lot of people think is Comedy Think Taint. Instead of tank.
Yeah.
So it's been
Only Steve.
It taint that?
Yeah, no, we didn't workshop it beforehand, so we have to really deliberately say this thing.
Pronounce the K.
People in the direction of it. Yeah.
That's a
Make
wild
it a
story.
big D and really confuse it. What was that?
That's a wild story. Like, can you imagine starting a podcast during a pandemic like that? That's
I
crazy.
know.
That's
no one,
nuts.
I don't think anyone did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, none of us here have done that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so
Or
strange.
can you imagine doing 3 of them simultaneously? Like, what the hell?
I can't imagine that.
Nick, what's the wildest guest you've had on your show?
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned it before. Jay Hunter. We actually had to do 2
Yep.
episodes of him. He came to after we kind of got out of quarantine. He came to Leonard's house. And he talked for 2 straight hours. I didn't even get a word in. I wasn't even part of the show that day. He just rapid fire, funny comedy stuff for like 2 straight hours. We split into 2 shows. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was real fun.
So with the pandemic, you mean you started during the pandemic? Are you still going strong after the pandemic? I know a lot of podcasts might have stopped or paused or...
It's funny you say that. We didn't intentionally pause, but we did have somewhat of a hiatus through this winter time. Leonard moved houses, and work was back in the office and things of that nature. So we didn't find as much time. But we're getting going now. We have a new episode coming out later this month, and another one ready to go as soon as that one hits too. So we're getting back at it. We had a lot of fun. There's still a lot of comedians to talk to.
Yeah,
That's the thing. The pandemic gave us all of these great podcasts, and then the pandemic had the balls to end, and we have to go back to life. And it's like, we don't want to stop doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
yeah. Wow.
So I'm glad that you guys are keeping it going, because it is a great thing to do.
He and I have a really good rapport, and so I think it's a perfect fit for us to just keep doing it. And it's easy. You just record, you send it out. What the hell? Who cares? We have a logo.
Exactly.
We'll use it.
I love the logo. It's a good logo, which you can see in the link in the description. You can also catch all of their old podcasts, the ones that have come out since they started, and their new ones that will come out. So make sure you subscribe. Again, links are in the description. You guys want to know what washed up in Norway?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So, according to NPR, what artifact from New Hampshire washed up on a Norway beach? Well, Rye Junior High School in New Hampshire in October of 2020 launched 5-foot mini drifter sailboats into the Gulf Stream right off the coast of New Hampshire. So the onboard GPS for each of these units tracked the boat on its 462-day journey on more than 8,300 miles to Europe, where it washed up on a Norway beach. It was found by a 6th grader, and they contacted the Rye, New Hampshire Junior High. The link to the story is in the description, as well as the GPS tracking of that Gulf Stream. It's pretty wild. So
That's
before
cool.
we move on, our points are: in last place, we have myself a 75 universal points. Thank you, Nick. We have a 3-way tie between
Oh, I love a
Nate,
good
Molly,
three-way.
and Carla Rose, each with 160 points. And in the lead, we have Steve with 180 points.
I just want to say, Bob, that there's a great book that came out of that boat going across the ocean. It's called The Life of Pine.
That's pretty good.
Oh, that's the joke.
That's-
I don't get it.
That's good.
Wait, that's a
Okay,
movie
that's
reference.
good.
Well, it's also a book
I'm
reference.
such a
But Molly,
sap
you
for
almost made a
those
movie
things.
reference.
Dude,
All right.
I know.
Or you could do. Hold on. The other one is Life of Rye.
There you go. You know, either way, give it to her. It's a movie reference. She doesn't ever do this. Congratulations, Molly. All right, join us when we return for Carla Rose's pop quiz and Technically Correct right here on Balderdash Academy. Remember to like and subscribe to the video. Also, remember we have options available if you'd like to support the show directly. You can show your school pride with merch from our store. We're also booking live shows, including our new live radio comedy On the Air. You can find all the information online at balderdashacademy.com. Links to everything are in the description. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. Go Dashers!